6 minutes, no chorus, multiple musical styles, an opera section, a hard rock ending. By every commercial standard of the 1970s, it was a terrible idea. Radio stations wanted short songs. Record labels wanted predictable hits. The music industry wanted formulas. Queen gave them none of that, and yet, the song everyone believed would fail became one of the most iconic songs ever recorded. For decades, hit songs followed a familiar pattern. 3 or 4 minutes, a memorable chorus, simple structure. Everything was designed to keep listeners engaged and radio stations happy. That wasn't just a creative preference, it was a business model. Airplay determined exposure. Exposure drove sales. Long songs were considered risky because they reduced the number of records a station could play each hour. In other words, breaking the formula didn't just challenge expectations, it challenged the economics of the industry itself. Then Queen began working on something that ignored almost every one of those rules. The song was unlike anything else on the market. It moved from ballad to opera to hard rock before returning to a quiet ending. There was no obvious single, no conventional structure, no clear explanation of what it was supposed to be. From a commercial perspective, it looked impossible to market. The biggest concern wasn't whether the song was good. It was whether anyone would play it. Several people inside the industry believed it was too long for radio, too unusual for mainstream audiences, too complicated to become a hit. The pressure was obvious. Edit the song, shorten it, make it fit the system. It was the safer choice, but Queen refused. Instead of cutting the song down, they defended it exactly as it had been created. They believed the structure wasn't a problem, it was the point. Every section served a purpose. Every transition helped tell a story. The song wasn't trying to sound like everything else on the radio. It was trying to create an experience. That conviction mattered. Because innovation almost always looks unreasonable before it looks visionary. When the recording was finally completed, the challenge shifted from creating the music to convincing people to hear it. Despite industry concerns, the song reached radio audiences. Listeners reacted immediately, not because it followed familiar rules, but because it ignored them. People talked about it, requested it, shared it. The song became impossible to ignore. It climbed the charts, broke expectations, and eventually became one of the defining records in rock history. What looked commercially impossible had become commercially unstoppable. The success of Bohemian Rhapsody changed more than Queen's career. It challenged the assumption that mainstream audiences only wanted predictable music. It proved that ambitious ideas could succeed on a massive scale. That creativity and commercial success didn't always have to compete. It also helped redefine what a single could be. Longer, more theatrical, more cinematic. Artists across genres gained confidence to take bigger creative risks, not because every experiment would succeed, but because one unforgettable example proved it was possible. The most important decision Queen made wasn't writing an extraordinary song. It was refusing to compromise once it existed. They trusted the audience more than the formula. They believed people would connect with something original, even if it didn't fit industry expectations. History proved they were right, because the song wasn't remembered for following the rules. It became legendary for breaking them, because sometimes the biggest breakthrough doesn't happen when you perfect the formula. It happens when you have the courage to ignore it completely. And for Queen, that decision created one of the greatest songs music has ever known.